Ethan, the soccer team, the hockey team, and the football team all enjoyed some home cooking in Athens this weekend.
Yeah, an action-packed weekend here in Athens. You never know what is going to happen on those fields. This is
Ohio Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. Thanks for joining us. Ethan Graham here with Shane Dazen. Shane, a 3-1 win for Ohio University hockey last Friday over UNLV, and a 7-1 win, which saw Tyler Harkins record a hat trick. 4 goals on the weekend total for Harkins. What were some of your takeaways from that UNLV series?
Number 22 was a dynamite for the Bobcats. An absolutely great weekend for the left winger for Coach Hogan. 5 points on 4 goals and an assist. He led the charge for Ohio en route to 2 big victories and in a series that Ohio really needed to have after some tough losses to the University of Jamestown.
Yeah, Harkins with a whole bunch of points there. You really get the the notion that Tyler's an all-effort, all-the-time kind of guy.
Oh, we saw him early in practice last week. We saw him working one-on-one individually with Michael Harris earlier this week. This guy lives and breathes for hockey. We mentioned it on the show previous times that we talked to Coach Hogan about that, and he just has nothing but good things to say about Tyler Harkins' work ethic. And you see it paying dividends on the ice for the Bobcats. He and Gianni Evangelista have become a very good pair on that second line, but when he needs to be plugged in up top with Brian Lubin, he produces there. When he moves down to the third line and plays with Cody Black, he produces there. He doesn't complain about where he's put in the lineup. As long as he's playing, he's happy, and the Bobcats are happy to have him in.
Yeah, you talk about Brian Lubin. He's a guy who's really stood out to me this season. This is a guy who can get it done on both sides, the offensive side and the defensive side of the game.
Yeah, goal and assist on the weekend for Brian Lubin against UNLV, pushing his point total on the season to 10 points and a plus 14 rating. Leads the Bobcats in that category as well. This is a guy that has done it all on the offensive side of the ice for Ohio, moving up to that first center position a few weeks ago against Jamestown and really grabbing a hold of it over the last 2 weeks. And he's done it on the defensive side too, winning faceoffs for Ohio, establishing that puck possession early on. Can never have too much of it. If you are Coach Hogan, it's really how his game really kind of materializes, is by winning those faceoffs and getting that puck back to those defensemen to start your drives in the offensive zone. So good stuff for Brian Lubin. He really has been everything that Coach Hogan has wished for in a first-line center.
Yeah, definitely. And before we talk about Stony Brook, we should not neglect to mention that Jimmy Thomas, another pair of good performances last weekend, goals against average solidly under 2. On to Stony Brook. They're the Seawolves. The Seawolf is a fictitious creature, but snap back to reality. What can we expect this weekend when Stony Brook comes into Science Seabird Arena, Shane?
This is a team that, if you follow the ACHA, is a perennial contender in the ACHA. A team that Ohio beat in the semifinals in the ACHA National Tournament last March. So they have some experience against the Seawolves, albeit only one game in that tournament, and that was a loser goes home type event, so they didn't really get a series. But 6-0 on the season for Stony Brook, a team that's coming off 2 wins against number 21 Rhode Island this past weekend. Dominating fashion for them. Leading goal scorer Ori Benyamini, 9 points in 6 games for the Seawolves. He is followed closely by defenseman Brendan Pepe with 8 assists in 6 games for Stony Brook. Payne Yoder leads the way with a 3-0 record and a 1.67 goals against average in net.
Yeah, Stony Brook, a tremendous culture for that program. Head coach Chris Garofalo's 6 straight ESCHL championship games, including 4 consecutive division titles from 2013 to 2016, Shane. So that's a team that is really getting it done. Shane, give me a couple players from Ohio to look out for this weekend. Defensive end, skaters, whoever.
It really does begin with Gianni Evangelista. I think he goes ahead of everybody else every single weekend in terms of what he can do with the single player mentality that he has there. Gianni Evangelista is a guy that can throw the team on his back and carry them to the promised land. 12 points on the season, 7 goals for number 7. He really has been the beginning, middle, and end of the Bobcats offense. Everything kind of has been running through him in the early going, and they're going to need him to step up on the power play. We saw him score last weekend, I guess 2 weekends ago, against Jamestown on the power play. A beautiful goal. He has been set up very nicely on that right hash, bottom of the circle for Coach Hogan, where they have kind of ran their entire power play through him on that side of the ice and really kind of singled him out there. So I think with a power play that now is clicking at 11% after a weekend in which it went 0 for 11, Ohio is looking for answers, and Gianni Evangelista is going to be that guy that rings the bell.
Yeah, definitely. Ohio's power play and penalty kill have struggled at times this season. The exact opposite for the Stony Brook Seawolves. Their special teams are probably the most pungent part of their game. Talk about that a little bit, Shane.
35% on the power play for the Seawolves in the early going. A great start on the man advantage for them, something that Ohio is going to have to watch out for. OU's done a really nice job in the last few weeks limiting the chances of their opponents on shorthanded opportunities. 11 of 11 over the weekend against UNLV and killing off penalties, now at 85% for the year. So the Bobcats defense is nothing to sniff there if you're looking at their playability too, but Stony Brook is just out of this world. 98% on the PK. They don't give up any power play goals. So this is something that Ohio, which is already struggling on the power play, is going to have an even tougher time dealing with against a tough Stony Brook team.
Good stuff, Shane. As always, Shane and I will have the call for you this weekend as well for every Bobcats home game. You can find that link on AVW Presents Hockey on Facebook. Coming up, we're going to talk some Ohio University football, Ohio Sports Zone. Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. Ethan Graham, Shane Dazen. Shane, a 48-30 win last week for the Ohio Bobcats over Bowling Green. Shane, quite simply, what the hell happened?
Ohio finally got back to its game. Nate Rourke looked a little bit more Nate Rourke-like this week. 3 rushing touchdowns, again for number 12, pushing him to 12 on the season. Mm-hmm. That is second in the country in rushing touchdowns, folks. Really good stuff for the transfer QB there. But Ohio really did get back to its game, like we mentioned. The defense with 4 turnovers, including 2 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown by Brad Ellis. 21 points off of turnovers for the Bobcats defense. Good stuff there. Quentin Poling with a forced fumble and a fumble recovery up front. 10 tackles for him. Evan Crouch with 11. That linebacking core that we alluded to in the last few weeks really pressured James Morgan early on and continued to throughout the entire afternoon. The quarterback for the Falcons this past week was 16 of 41. So not very accurate. We mentioned that he wasn't very accurate through the first 6 games of the season, and that trend continued against a staunch Ohio defense and then an offense led by the feet of Nate Rourke. Ohio, 335 yards on the ground, including 143 from the quarterback and another 123 from A.J. Ouellette. He had 2 touchdowns as well. So Ohio doing its job through the running end of the things. But Nate Rourke, not his best passing day. 7 for 22, 105 yards, 2 interceptions. We've seen him turn over the ball more frequently over the last couple of weeks, and that is a pause for concern if you're Frank Solich. You want to try to get that corrected. But when he does what he does with his feet, he is a tough man to beat.
Yeah, definitely. Only 105 passing yards for Ohio on the day. Is that a concern for you moving forward, Shane? Should there be a quarterback controversy? Is there a quarterback controversy? Talk a little about that.
I don't think there's a quarterback controversy by any means. What Nate Rourke has done for this program in his short time as a Bobcat has been truly remarkable, honestly. 5-2, hoping to be 6-2 after this weekend, but 5-2 right now. And obviously Quentin Maxwell was a part of those wins as well. He played more so in the early season than he has recently, but it really has been spearheaded by Rourke. And this guy now 20 touchdowns, 7th in the nation in total touchdowns. Really impressive, and just his mentality coming into that position and assuming it with ease. Didn't look like it bothered him whatsoever to be in the spotlight. I think was very impressive to see from a younger quarterback. And, obviously he's got the talent to back it up. I think he's a very confident guy, walks around with swagger and plays with it too. And he has been special for Ohio. I don't think that him throwing for less yards is necessarily a bad thing if he's running for more. It really is a balancing act when it comes to his dynamic playmaking ability. But if you're going to get efforts from A.J. Ouellette and Dorian Brown like you did this past week, another 70 yards for Ohio's third rusher there, Dorian Brown, that is going to pay dividends for Ohio. And if they can run the ball, then they should run the ball.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. When you're able to only throw for about 30% passing and still win the MAC East Offensive Player of the Week, I mean, you're doing something right. If you're able to overcome a bad day passing with your legs as a quarterback, especially in the MAC, I think you're going places.
He did that all on 8 rushes, too. This wasn't a huge body of work. He ripped off a 75-yard touchdown early in the third quarter to put Ohio ahead there against Bowling Green, and that was number one, a beautiful run. Number two, it showcased just what he can do at any given moment in the game.
Yeah, Ohio moving on to Kent State this weekend. They will begin a 3-game homestand. Kent State head coach Paul Haynes and his Flashes program not in a great place right now, despite coming off of a big win against Miami last week.
14-40 is Paul Haynes' career record. You wonder how long they're going to keep running this guy out there before Kent State finally pulls the plug on him. Not a very good season again for the Golden Flashes. They did get a win last week, but their quarterback goes down, George Bolus, with an injury, and that forces Dustin Crum into action for the Golden Flashes, somebody who hasn't played a lot this season, didn't look very good, although he did engineer a game-winning drive for his team. So that's going to be something interesting for Ohio to look out for this weekend against Kent State, an inexperienced quarterback that hasn't had a lot of snaps going against a defense that really loves to feast on that type of weakness.
You have the inexperienced quarterback for Kent State. You have Ohio coming home. You have the return of Poppy White. I think this one has blowout for Ohio written all over it. Shane, would you agree with that?
Oh, man, if they don't win this game by 30 points, I think a lot of fans are going to go home disappointed. Trust me, this is a game like Bowling Green that should be as much of a shoo-in as a shoo-in ever could be for the Bobcats. Kent State played them tough last year, 14-10 victory for Ohio, but it was a little bit of a dogfight there for a while. And I think that you don't want to underestimate the opponent, as we always say. Ohio, on paper this year, has been a very dominant team. They should win most of these matchups, but that doesn't mean that they're going to win most of these matchups. So you don't want to become complacent. You want to do what you have been doing that has worked for you. I think Nate Rourke establishing himself on the ground against the Kent State defense that is not very good against the run game, giving up over 230 yards a game on the rush. So that really plays into the Bobcats' favor. Keep plugging away where things have been working and where things have been comfortable for you, and look to sprinkle in some offense where you can from the passing game. I think Troy Mangin's a guy that hasn't seen the ball in a couple of weeks, could be a big red zone player for an Ohio team that is clicking on 96% of its red zone trips this year, including 85% of those trips resulting in touchdowns. So good stuff for Ohio down low. Watch out for number 82, the big tight end.
It's a 2 p.m. kick this weekend at Payton Stadium. We're going to go across the street, talk volleyball and soccer coming up next, Ohio Sports Zone. Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. Thanks for coming in. Warm on up. Shane, you got some volleyball stuff for us. What do you got?
The Cats this weekend split another series, 2 games against Toledo and Ball State, a 5-set loss to the Rockets. A tough one for Ohio. They led early on in the 5th set, 10-6, looking to capitalize on another 5-set match, their third in a row to that point. Toledo came back and pulled ahead and ended up winning that 5th set 19-17 to take the victory, pushing them to 9-10, 4-3 in the MAC. Ohio falling to 9-12 and 3-4 after that matchup. Tia Jimerson with 19 kills, the freshman middle blocker, doing it all again for Ohio.
We just can't say enough about her, really.
Yeah, she was helped by sophomore outside hitter Lizzie Stevens, who recorded her 9th double-double of the season, 18 kills, 14 digs for her as well. Those two have really been spearheading Ohio's effort here through MAC play. And Vera Giacomazzi, again, 56 assists, racking up the sets. So good stuff for her. Rachel Vidoric for Toledo, a team high 16 kills and 10 blocks in the win for the Lady Rockets. And Ohio was playing Ball State the next day. Came back very nicely, 3-0 sweep to win that match, pushing Ohio to 10-12, 4-4 in MAC play, heading into this weekend's matchups. Tia Jimerson was the MAC East Player of the Week following the weekend series. She had 12 kills in that game against Ball State, pushing her total for the weekend to 31. So special stuff for her. That freshman, as we mentioned, has just been doing great things for Ohio. She's going to be a big player in the years to come. Lizzie Stevens leading the MAC now with 315 kills. She's 34th in the nation. So we're placing players in the top 50 in some big statistical categories. That's something positive for Dean Webb and his squad to see. And as we look forward to this weekend, we're facing Northern Illinois and Western Michigan both on the road. A Northern Illinois team that is 5-18, although 4-4 in MAC play. So it's going to be a tough out for Ohio. The last time they faced the Huskies was in the MAC championship semifinals last year, and Northern Illinois swept them to knock them out. So they want to get some revenge against the Huskies. And Western Michigan 12-7, also 4-4 in the MAC, all tied as the 7 teams in MAC play heading to this weekend.
You know, Jamie Kasorik goes down, Katie Nelson goes down. This is a team that, quite frankly, we can't give enough praise to for the culture there. Indeed, the culture that Dean Webb has built. They've rallied around those injuries. Some younger players have stepped up. Statistically, some of the better players in the country in some categories. And this is an Ohio team that is right in the middle of the MAC tournament picture. Just like the soccer team who tied Bowling Green State University today to go 7-8-2 overall and 3-4-2 in the Mid-American Conference. Shane, there was lots of offense early in this game. Madison Schubach made it 1-0 for the Falcons in the 11th minute. Shane to take a lead there early, but Ohio would not let that go. Olivia Molesky would score in the 24th minute. Stalwart towards the end of the game. Aaron Burkett, 7 saves through 2 overtimes, led to the tie. Tremendous goaltending performance from Aaron. Ohio will welcome in Toledo, who is 3rd in the MAC West this weekend with a 4-2-2 record, 7-6-3 overall. It is a hashtag Soccer Sunday presented by Larry's Doghouse. Ohio will be sending off 6 seniors into the outside world of Athens. Allie Curry, Bryce Huber, Celeste Fushimi Carnes, Hannah Jagers, Kate McCurley, and Megan Niebuhr. Thank you for your time here at Ohio University. Thanks for being a Bobcat. Look out for Hannah Scafaria this weekend. 8 goals and an assist for the Rockets. Hannah loves scoring goals, lethal with the legs. Madison Perrin, 7-5-3, has started every game, Shane, for the Rockets in goal. 7-5-3, a 1.30 goals against average. One of the better goalies in the MAC.
Maybe she could tire it out this weekend.
We're going to have some trivia coming up next, Ohio Sports Zone. Welcome back to Ohio Sports Zone. I am Ethan Graham, along with the Rabbit Father, Shane Dazen. Shane, we have to call some hockey this weekend, but before we do, let's play a little game of Ohio Sports Zone trivia. Are you ready? I have 3 multiple choice questions. I hope you can get them all, but we will see.
Let's go.
Let's go would be correct. The last time the Ohio baseball team was in the College World Series was when? Last time OU baseball made it to the College World Series in Omaha. Was it A, 1947, B, 1970, C, 1997, or D, 1975? Shane, you say what?
Let's go 75. I like disco music.
Disco music, you'd have to go a couple years earlier for the last time the Bobcats were in the World Series. 1970.
Close enough.
Close enough.
I'll take it. That's a moral win for me.
It is no moral victories here in Ohio Sports Zone.
That's a moral win.
No participation trophies here in Ohio Sports Zone. Question number 2, Shane. Who threw the most single-game passing touchdowns in Ohio Bobcats history? This is a quarterback, obviously. Is it A, Darius Vick? Is it B, good old Cleve Bryant? Can't forget old Cleve. C, Tyler Tettleton? Or D, Boo Jackson?
I'm going to go with Tettleton. He was the first quarterback I watched play here at Ohio. One of my favorites.
Yeah, Tettleton, certainly a very special quarterback here at Ohio University. Maybe the best. Argument for another day. But it was Boo Jackson. He threw 5 touchdowns against Norfolk State back in 2012. Actually had Ohio University in a position to beat that school up north, Ohio State, in the 4th quarter. during his time
Did he
here.
get it done?
No, he did not. But
He didn't get it done. That's unfortunate.
yes,
That's
it
unfortunate.
really is. I wanted them to win that game pretty badly. Number 3, let's hope you can get at least one of these questions. This may be the easiest one. Ohio University had a magical Sweet 16 run back in 2012 that unfortunately ended with an overtime loss to the North Carolina Tar Heels. Who did Ohio beat in the round of 64 and the round of 32? Was it A, Michigan and South Florida? Was it B, Georgetown and Tennessee? Was it C, the New Jersey Institute of Technology in Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne? Or was it D, Florida and UTEP?
Let's go B.
Shane, you missed them all this week. You missed every single trivia question.
Every one.
Ohio University beat the 4-seed Michigan
You read those off
Wolverines.
so quickly, I don't think I could even hear them. So they all
Oh, it's my fault. It's my fault you got the questions wrong.
It's his
Of
fault,
course.
folks.
They beat the
Folks,
4-seed.
don't let this guy fool you. I know more than he lets on.
They beat the 4-seed Michigan Wolverines. They beat the 12-seed South Florida Bulls. And Shane was beat by the trivia questions on this week's episode of Ohio Sports Zone. Thank you for watching. We were going to call some hockey this weekend. You can find us on @AVW Presents Hockey on Facebook for a link. For Shane Dazen, this is Ethan Graham. This is Ohio Sports Zone.